Welcome to NinjaCast, a photography podcast powered by Studio Ninja, the world's highest-rated business management app, built specifically for photographers. Listen and learn as the most successful photographers on the planet share their knowledge to help you transform every element of your photography business. Here's your host, Sally Shaw.
Hi guys, welcome to NinjaCast. Today I'm joined by the lovely Ryan Snaadt. Today he's going to be covering everything from his best kept marketing tips to how to use video marketing to really transform your business. Let's get started. Hi Ryan, how are you?
Hey Sally, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk to us. I'm really excited for this one. So how's things been with you? How's life?
Good. Things are picking up post-pandemic here in America. A lot of things are starting to get busy. So that's kind of the flavor of the week right now. Just trying to keep up with emails and projects and stuff like that. So
absolutely. So things have kind of returned semi back to normal for you over there right now. Is that about right?
Yep. So I live in the Midwest here in America. So we're kind of not as populated as some of the bigger cities and things. So things are pretty much, I would say, pretty close to normal. Some mask wearing here and there and some limitations, but for the most part, everybody's back to normal. So
that's fantastic. So great to hear. So are you kind of heading into your wedding season now?
Yeah. So this year, actually, I have just a handful of weddings. In the years past, I've shot some weddings, but I'm starting to switch over to more the fitness industry. So this year, actually, I've shot in the last 2 or 3 months. I've shot a couple of weddings, but I have just a couple more left this season. Ironically, probably about 5 left or so. Where in years past I've done 10 or more. I think this year it's a little bit less than 10 for me. So
amazing. So tell me more about the fitness side of things. What's kind of made you change the direction of your career?
Sure. So I guess I would say I'm starting back from the beginning here. About 5 years ago, I started shooting any kind of videos I could get my hands on, business promotions, fitness, weddings, all the different stuff that goes on with that. So I've always had a really big draw for fitness. When I first started doing videos, my first videos I ever did, I picked up a GoPro and started shooting fitness videos for my YouTube channel. So after my channel kind of died off, I actually enjoyed actually making the videos compared to just doing them for myself. So that's kind of what got me into video. And as I've started to grow, I really wanted to try and niche down more so and focus on business promotions and fitness, because there's not a lot of people that are doing this on a national scale in my country. So, and I think I fit a really good hole there where a lot of people either need promotions for their business, their organization, their sports team, stuff like that. So, and I really just enjoy the industry. I like being around athletes and coaches and stuff like that. So
amazing. So how have you found kind of going from servicing clients and building your business around kind of end users, if you like, to now servicing other businesses?
Sure. Yeah. B2B is a lot different than B2C. B2B, everyone's concerns are about like return on investment, how they're going to make this marketing dollar from $1 into 2, like those types of things, brand awareness and things like that, where an individual, they're just looking for something cool, usually something that looks awesome, professional, that type of thing. Especially with businesses, though, I enjoy working with them a lot more because A, they usually have more budget, which is always a good thing. And B, just having more flexibility to design a complete video that's going to get a business result so you can track it and you can prove, hey, not only did this look cool, but it did what it's supposed to do, which is really something that I like to nerd out about in the video marketing world. So
amazing. And as kind of a business owner, what would be your top tips for people that are just entering, even just being a business owner, not necessarily being, a photographer servicing wedding clients in particular, but just more in general?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a big mind shift, I would say. A lot of people that get into the creative space, whether it's photography, videography, whatever it is, a lot of them, I would assume, because I meet a lot of these people every day, just think, it's great. I can just go shoot every day and edit, and that's all I have to do. But there's this whole other side of it, which is the business back end. So a lot of that, I think, comes with the mindset. So if you're wanting to go into business for yourself, no matter what it is, you have to be aware and okay with knowing that that's going to be a big part of what you do. So I would say the business side of it is definitely, I would say 60% of the importance of where you want to focus your time, especially starting out. And then as you get to grow, you can kind of automate some of the other things you're doing or hire out a team or do whatever you're trying to do to grow it. So
it's a bit of a common thing, isn't it, really, that people jump into, photography, let's say, and go, I love taking photos, I want to be a photographer. and we so don't realize the business aspect behind the role as well. It's you're more often tied to admin and running your business than you are shooting a wedding or going out and shooting corporate clients.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think especially when I first started out, I tried to just do it all with free tools, Google Sheets, and trying to just do non-branded emails and stuff like that. It just kind of, it just wears on you too, because then you lose track of stuff. And that really hurt my business when I was first starting out. It was just like, I'd have, when I switched over from my free Outlook account and switched it over to my new domain, I went through and I found probably 15 email chains that I just forgotten to respond to that had, paying clients on the other end that they just found someone else that would respond, because you just get overwhelmed with stuff. So I think a lot of it's just like finding the things in your business that you don't want to do or that you're not very good at, and trying to find ways to replace that either with automation or VA or an assistant of some kind that can try and help fill those gaps for you too. I think that's just a really big thing a lot of people don't think about when they're starting a business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I remember I've been in the industry just over 8 years now. And although, I was one of those people that I was like, I love photography. I love taking photos. I could definitely do this professionally. I was very aware that running a business was a whole other ballgame.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so different, and when you're a solo operator, like a lot of folks that are probably watching this right now or listening to this are, you really want to try and focus on your kind of the things you're good at, and try to just get all the other stuff out of the way. Because for me personally, like I hate taxes and finances and all that stuff. So I have a CPA. So
yeah, it's the worst.
You worry about that. Tell me how much I need to pay in taxes or whatever I need to do. But just, I don't want to deal with this on a daily basis. It's just not my sweet spot. So.
And did you find that you outsourced those things that you hated kind of quite early on, or did you take quite a while to get to the point where you thought, I don't want to do those bits anymore, let's find someone to do them?
Yeah, for me, I didn't outsource things right away. I kind of just, like I said, did it as free as I could, because I didn't want to take on any overhead. But then as you realize, okay, if I invest in an automation system or CRM or an email system or an invoicing and an accounting system, it's like all those things will speed up the amount, like how fast you can get projects done, how much you can charge, all the different pros and cons that come with that. I mean, yes, there's more money, but you can definitely shop around and find which automation systems work for you. Because I use probably over 12 different softwares in my business, because I know that speed is helpful for me. I use a software for sending videos to clients so they can leave comments and review it and send it back. I have an accounting system that I send things through. I have a CRM. I have a bunch of different stuff I use. So it's kind of the thing that people don't like to talk about, but it's super important.
Absolutely. I think there's this unwritten thing in our industry, isn't there, that we think that clients think we do it all ourselves, and then there's that letting go of doing it all yourself and saying it's okay that another business does that bit for me. So for example, I started outsourcing my editing perhaps 3-4 years ago, and it was a massive thing for me at the time. I remember thinking, nobody could possibly edit it the way that I edit it, and actually now, like, I love the fact that I don't edit my own stuff.
Sure. Well, if you have a look and feel, you can templatize your knowledge. You can put it into presets. You can kind of teach them how you do it. There's a little bit of a training process there, but then now you're freed up. Now that one shoot that was going to take you 4 hours to edit, now you have time to do other things, which is great.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than opening an email and it going, here's that wedding you shot 3 weeks ago. It's all done and ready for you.
Absolutely.
So when you started out, Ryan, were you working another full-time job? Were you kind of balancing things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I still continue to work full-time. I have a full-time job. I work my freelance business on nights and weekends. And then I also have an online course business and a YouTube channel and a bunch of other stuff we can talk about that I teach other videographers how to start and grow a business and do the side hustle thing and grow it into a freelance videography business. So very busy with that stuff. But yeah, I would say speaking to some of those things, it has to be something that it's a good, especially in the wedding niche, which a lot of folks that are listening to this are in that. Weddings are a great one to start when you're first getting going, because it's all on the weekends and nights, and you can easily do both until you're to the point where you can grow and detach. I think it really just depends on the visualization though for people, because I'm still doing all these things because I have some certain things that I wanted to cross off on my list of to-dos, get some things lined up. Mm-hmm. And then when it gets to a certain point that I'm ready to do that or jump if I want to or not, then I can make that decision. So I think the balance between the two definitely is something that most of us will do. Most of us anymore won't just jump, take the risk and go, because that's just not the smartest thing in my opinion. There are some people that are bigger risk takers than me, but
Especially with the last year, right?
Exactly. And it's like if somebody was considering jumping and then that last year happens and you stop getting phone calls or emails from people, and it's like, that's kind of terrifying. There's a lot of risk there. So I would definitely say, like, start small, start building things out, see what you can realistically take on in your free time. And then if it is something that you want to grow and the niche that you want to focus on, which I really encourage people to focus on a niche to start out so you get known for something, then start to grow it out to the point that you want to detach and go. And I know plenty of people too that still run their business. They have other things they're working on. They have other businesses they run, and they've grown their freelance video business to the point where they've hired out all the pieces of parts of it. They have salespeople, they have shooters, they have editors, and they don't physically do any of those things because that's not what they're excited about. They just like growing businesses. So it just depends on really how you want to structure things.
Definitely. It can be a bit of a journey, can't it? Going from working your regular 9 to 5 or a full-time job of some description to then running your own business is a totally different ballgame.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think people kind of glorify this whole entrepreneurship, hustle mindset, all that stuff, like just working yourself to the bone. But I think in a realistic world, like for myself, I'm pretty risk averse. So it's like trying to make sure that it's like a small steps here and there to when you're ready to jump, if you want to, and you're ready to do that, you have a better chance and likelihood of success. Because in America, it's like 80% of businesses fail in the first year. And then I think over the course of 10 years, only 99% of businesses are closed by the 10-year mark. So 1 out of every 100 are even going to make it a decade. So I think really taking the necessary steps to make sure you have a good client base, you have repeat customers, and you have a process built into place that's going to get you more customers is super helpful, and something that I've tried to focus on a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any tips for people that perhaps are juggling everything? You seem like a bit of a pro when it comes to having multiple streams and multiple plates spinning all at once. So how do you manage that? What's your secret?
Sure. Yeah. Google Calendar is always helpful. That's the first thing. No, I think just prioritizing your time. I have a video on my YouTube channel. I'll have to give it to you. You can put it in the show notes of this. It talks about how I structure my day and how I'm really intentional with my time to still do the full-time job, to still shoot and edit freelance, and then also have my course business and how I do all those different things. It's definitely stressful at times, but try to just like juggling those different things is important. I would also say that putting a process in place for your business so you have the same experience for every one of your clients is super helpful too. So I follow a 16-step business process personally that I go through, where it's not just pre-production shooting and editing and then you're done, but it's like there's a whole nother process on how you can dig into the problem more. You can upsell get more budget out of a client if they have more problems that you can solve, ways that you market it, how you send the video, how you promote it on social media, how you use it on social media to bring in more customers that way. So I took my whole entire business process and plugged it into Studio Ninja, actually, in the CRM that I use, and started just doing that for the checklist so I can stay on top of it. So then when a project's done, you can check it off and it's done, and you just move on to the next thing. So I would say, to answer your question, Google Calendar is really important, and then also just having like a good way that you project manage yourself, whether it's just yourself or you have a team, using project management, either it's checklists and things like that to make sure that you're optimizing things and getting things done on time too.
It's making yourself accountable, isn't it? I think a lot of it. I mean, I'm a real list person. I get great satisfaction in ticking something off my list for the day. And it's just that kind of, making sure that by the end of the day, everything that was on that list, be it in your head, on a piece of paper, on a CRM, it's done.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for me, I have a whiteboard that I keep at my desk, and I have all my projects on it. Revenue goals, project goals, YouTube subscriber goals, course sales, all the different stuff that I'm trying to measure my success on. And that helps me just better keep myself accountable and know that, hey, if sales are down this month, like I have no one else to blame but myself. So what can I do to try and improve those? Or, hey, I have a backlog of editing that needs to take forever. Maybe I should prioritize that this week instead of new business prospecting or whatnot. So I think it depends on the person. Like if you're a very type A, that helps a lot. But for some folks that are just kind of like spacey like myself, I kind of get shiny object syndrome. I go to different things whenever it looks cool. So trying to really stay focused on it is important.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I mean, you mentioned your educational side of things, your YouTube channel, which if nobody has been over to Ryan's YouTube channel yet, it's ridiculous source of information. You need to head there like right this second. But a lot of that kind of intertwines with some video marketing and how you have built that into your business. So how can our listeners, what is it? How can they build it into their business? Why is it beneficial for them?
Sure. Yeah. I think if you're a videographer listening, you should stop thinking of yourself as a videographer and try and find ways that you can, whatever your clients are trying to do, how do you get them those results? And for me, I work a lot with businesses. So I'm more of a video marketer. It's like, how do I use this video to get you a result? So this oftentimes comes to distribution. So I know how to run Facebook ads, Google pre-roll ads on YouTube, and all the different things that go with that. So diversifying your skill set's really important. But in terms of like the course business and all the different stuff I do, it's a lot of like trial and error. Like I kind of wanted to use the course as a way that I could test my own hypotheses about like how to build a YouTube channel from scratch, how to build I have like a 70,000 person Facebook group that I run called the Freelance Videographer Community. So it's like, I thought, man, growing an organic Facebook group would probably be really helpful to get leads into my business. Let's grow one and see if it works. It's like stuff like that I kind of test out. With my YouTube channel, I have over 11,000 subscribers now. And it's like, that was a lot more of a grind than I thought it would be to get ranked videos. But now I know, hey, here's a certain formula I can follow to get ranked videos for certain topics. So it's just trying to figure out how do you leverage your knowledge to get the biggest impact for yourself or for your clients, depending on who you're trying to help.
Absolutely. I mean, it's often a kind of a topic, I think, that a lot of videographers and maybe even photographers, shy away from a little bit. It's not necessarily something that we come into the industry thinking, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's totally the way I'm going to run my business and the path it's going to go down. Is there a way that they can perhaps gain knowledge before they jump in to start doing that?
Sure. Yeah. I think it just depends on and I always look at it as I have a skill set and there's a bandwidth that I can hit for my freelance videography that it's like, I could work myself to the bone. There's like a max amount of money that I can probably make. So for me, that's why I looked at education, because I had knowledge about some different things, a lot of the business things like we mentioned on the show so far, that a lot of people had questions about, like, hey, how do you sell people on the phone? How do you get, do a pitch deck presentation? How do you get retainer clients or content retainers or book commercial campaigns and have run clients ads on a recurring basis or shoot on a recurring basis for a client? Because if you get a handful of those, then that's your entire year. You don't have to try and sell all the time on one-off videos. So a lot of those questions kept coming up, and that's what led me to do the education piece, because I knew I had a lot more that I could offer just the world in general and make a bigger impact there. But I would say education's a big thing a lot of people are looking at right now. You're seeing a lot more course creators going online, education sources, blogs, all these different places you can learn. And I think it's just helpful to share that knowledge, because people always said, well, what if you're educating your competitors? And I'm like, I know I am, because there's people in my market here in my state that have said they've joined my course, they've watched my videos, or they're in my Facebook group, and they use things they learned to get clients that I'm also bidding for. So, it's like you could say it's a scarcity mindset, but I just think they were going to learn it anywhere else, so that might as well be from me, and try and, build that reciprocity up a little bit.
Definitely. It's so lovely to see somebody in the industry just sharing information like that. Like, your YouTube channel is packed full, not just for videographers, but for business owners, for photographers, for wedding industry professionals. It's packed full of stuff that you can literally watch it and you've learned something really solid for your business by the end of the episode. So that often, there's a bit of a wave, I guess, in the industry, isn't there, of people going, well, I do this a certain way, and no, I'm not going to share that because that's the way that I do things and that's my knowledge. So it's lovely to see somebody that's just going, yes, this is me, this is how I've been successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty of creators that are just now sharing kind of their financial success, but also, like you mentioned earlier, the diversified streams of income that you can have. So one I love talking about is Eric Floberg from Chicago. He's a wedding photographer. I don't know if he's been on your guys' show, but he's a really good he's a YouTuber from Chicago that shares a lot about the financial side, like how he shoots weddings, and then all the other things that he's doing to generate income. And I think that's a huge thing that creators need to think about, is like, okay, if your primary business dried up today, would you be able to survive? And a lot of us can say no. Like, we would be crapping our pants. Like, what do we do? Like, I got to go find more work.
Yeah, we all did it last year.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the pandemic side of it that comes into it. So I think the diversification of the income streams really, it's a fancy way of saying like making money from different things. So for a lot of people, if they're in that creative space, it could be selling your stock footage, your stock photos on stock sites. It could be it could be doing templates that you sell templates on your website of things, or presets are really big. LUTs and presets. Starting a YouTube channel and teaching people and getting AdSense from that. There's affiliate marketing. There's just so many different ways that you can do this and monetize, like the online course business that I do, and sponsorships, brand deals. There's so many things. Patreon. I mean, I could go on and on and on forever, but it's without just putting out a blanket of like all these different ways that you could monetize. I always tell people, like, pick one or two things and really figure out what does that look like in a couple of years. For me, I was using my YouTube channel, and I still use it as a marketing platform for my products that I create, but then also just to build a community of people that all have the same kind of things they're trying to build. And so a lot of my stuff is the business side, but there's some people that focus on the shooting, like how to shoot, people that focus on how to edit. It just depends. There's so many people. But for me, it started to grow quite a bit when I started to niche down, because I used to shoot a ton of different videos, put a bunch of different things out there. Like once I started getting targeted, it helped a lot to get kind of a purpose for the channel. So.
Absolutely. And then one of your really popular topics is in regards to Instagram. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, will use Instagram on the daily for their businesses, or if they don't, they know they probably could be doing, but aren't too sure how to do that. So what are your top tips for Instagram for small businesses? How can they kind of organically start that rolling?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I have a couple of videos on this, so I'll try and figure out like the best tips I would say. But for like growing a portfolio, a lot of people think like, oh, if I have an Instagram profile and that's how I bring in a lot of my clients, like, do I even need a website? And my answer is like, yes, you need both. Like, you can't just rely on one or the other. Mm-hmm. I just had a friend of ours, our family friend of ours, they do online sales for e-commerce for a t-shirt brand. And they are really, really big on Etsy. They have like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that they make from selling t-shirts about Disney and all these different, and Etsy shut their page down yesterday. And they're like, their husband and wife, it's full time. They work from home. That's all they do. And they're like freaking out because they have no way to make money, right? Because they don't have a website, and it's like basic stuff like that. So you absolutely need to have Instagram and a website. Number one, having both those platforms. But second is like setting up the second tip I would say is definitely setting up your platforms to attract ideal clients. So a lot of us shoot, but we shoot for everybody, and we're just a photographer or just a videographer. It's like, no. If you want to really use your channels to attract your ideal clients, you need to post things that would attract that person. If you're looking for a wedding photographer as a customer, you're probably not going to hire somebody that also shoots animals at the zoo, that also shoots, athletes at the gym or sports teams, or they shoot for companies. Like you want to pick somebody that just specializes in wedding photography because you feel like that's a good choice, right? Mm-hmm. So I've tried to make that a big, and I'm not, my accounts are always lacking because I'm so focused on, my other clients that I run ads for and stuff, but it's setting up your accounts to look that way. So like I said, if I shoot for fitness clients a lot, how do I set my organic Instagram up to look like that's mainly who I shoot for? So if a fitness brand finds that page, they're like, oh, this guy shoots exactly for people like me. I should reach out to him. So that would be probably my biggest tips. And then also, like, there's a line you have to draw between spending time on a page for like consuming purposes, like saying you're on Instagram for marketing purposes, but you're really just in the infinity scroll on the news feed. So it's like, how do you make sure that you're just posting, you engage for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you get off and you're done for the day? So I think that's a really big thing for me, especially because I'm trying to grow my TikTok account to try and test that. Mm-hmm. And then you end up getting in just, you're a consumer after a while. You start scrolling instead of putting out content. So that's part of it too.
I have to ask, what's your TikTok handle?
It's just Ryan_Snaadt. So it's just my name if you want to search it. Yeah. But I've been cross posting things like behind the scenes from shoots, or I've been trying to post like clips from YouTube videos, or, other things from course content, just to see what picks up attention. So no funky like voiceovers or dance moves going on. you will not see me doing a lot of dancing on that page. It's for helping people with business stuff. So yeah, and I'm testing things too. I'm seeing that actually I'll make these TikToks and I'll cross post them on my Instagram Reels, and Instagram Reels is really pushing that feature. So a lot of times I'll get, say I have 2,000 followers on my account, I'll get like 4,000 to 5,000 people that'll see the video, which is great. So they're just pumping it out to people for free for me. So trying to just like find different ways, because a lot of people that are listening might use Instagram as their main source of marketing. But as we're seeing, other platforms are going to continue to emerge. Instagram might start, blocking your posts, that you have to start sponsoring posts to get seen. So you always want to have like a backup plan, always have a strong website, because for me, especially when people are looking for a vendor, they usually go to Google to try and find people like me. Where, I mean, and that's not for every single business, but a lot of people think Instagram is the place that you go. But if you're a plumber and your toilet explodes, someone's going to Google to find somebody to fix my toilet right now. They're not going to Facebook or going to Instagram to find that person. So it just depends on the business that you're trying to target or the client that you're trying to target and where those people hang out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the ideal client profile, isn't it? If your client is the type of person that would post on Facebook to ask for recommendations for that plumber, then maybe Facebook is the place. But if they're the type of person that would search plumber and then their area on Google, then you need to make sure you've got a strong website.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say the website's definitely the most important, and work on the SEO over time. There's plenty of things we could take an entire episode about that, but having a website is the first place. And then I would say pick one, maybe two platforms that your audience spends the most time on, and then just focus there for the first year or two. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people wasting, your posts on 15 different areas. They're all over the place, and it's time consuming. And again, it doesn't get the result that you want. Because for me, I can probably count on one hand how many people have reached out on my company Instagram account to DM me about rates or a project that they have. Almost always it comes through Google, and that's where I really tried to focus a lot of my effort. And then also LinkedIn, since I focus on business clients. So I'm really prevalent on LinkedIn as well. So it really just those are the places I focus. I don't post on Twitter all the time because no one has ever reached out to me from Twitter. No one's ever reached out to me from a MySpace account or something else, we try and focus on
going back.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's important for people if you're starting out, just so you don't get overwhelmed with all the stuff that you need to do. I need to be marketing. It's well, I just bake it into my process that when I'm done with a project, I upload it to my company YouTube channel. I'll put it on my Facebook page. I'll put it on my Instagram profile. I'll upload a couple of the behind the scenes photos, and then I move on. And I don't try and dwell on it too much because, again, your time's better spent shooting, editing, and scripting videos, because those are the high impact values and the core competencies that'll make you money. So
definitely. What would you say is your best marketing tip? If there's somebody listening now that just says, if I just want one takeaway, I want to be able to market my business in a better way after listening to this, what's that one thing?
That's a great question. I would say the big thing that really helps a lot of people I talk to is just speak directly to your ideal audience. And if you don't have one, you have to start there. That's the main thing, is having, if you make videos for doctors' offices, speak directly to them. Do not speak to anybody else, because if you try to be a generalist, you're going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Mm-hmm. And if you want to really grow your business, if you niche down to start, that's really the big thing that I've seen growth in, and that you can speak to those people. So no matter what you're doing, speak to those people. That's the big thing as well. The other thing is, if you're just a solo operator, don't try to be this big corporate-y brand, because it's very impersonal, and dehumanizing yourself hurts you a lot too. So in 2021 right now, a lot of people are looking to connect on a human level with brands. So a lot of times I'll show myself, I'll talk about those things that I'm doing, and that kind of helps humanize me a little bit more, and showing behind the scenes on shoots and things, that I'm not just a company logo. It's there's a human back here that's turning the knobs and switches and things.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important for clients, whoever your client is, to see that, whether it be corporate, whether it be, an end user. It's good that they see that there's a person behind that business, and it isn't just this big corporate company where there's a nobody name up there.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, you're quite an inspiration to a lot of photographers and videographers out there, right? And I know that, there's a good 11,000 people that definitely look up to you on your YouTube. Is there anyone that you look up to? Is there anyone that really inspires you with your business? Sure.
Yeah. I think number one, I would say probably Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's probably one of my biggest business inspirations, because he's probably the most likable person out there. Guys want to be him, girls want to be married to him. It's one of those things, but he's one of those guys that it's a really cool person and a case study to look at, because he has everything he could ever need. He could retire right now, but he's trying to build a legacy and do as much as he can in the 24 hours that he has every day. So that's super inspiring. I would say in the industry, one of the big ones I follow is Jacob Owens from the Buff Nerds. Mm-hmm. Really big on YouTube. He has almost 1 million followers on there, and follow him on Instagram and stuff like that, because he's like a master of the diversified income streams. So he's a filmmaker out of Phoenix or Tempe, Arizona, And he has a production business, but then he also has online education products. He owns a ton of real estate properties he rents out for shoots. He does a couple different film industry product companies, editing companies, stuff like that. So he's been a really big inspiration to kind of see what's possible in terms of like the business side, because I'm a big business guy, and I'm a business guy first and a creative second, which is kind of contrary to a lot of folks that are probably listening to this. And I think that's a really big thing, is like surrounding yourself with people that are really focused on that business side, because it makes you think a little bit differently. That you're not just a one trick pony, that you can do a ton of different stuff and you can grow and build beyond that. Because I think that's a really big thing. Then there's a couple other ones, like I said, Eric Floberg's a couple of ones, and then Chris Howe on YouTube as well. So those are just a handful that I would throw out there.
I love that. Fantastic. I think there's a few names there that people perhaps over in the UK or the rest of the world might not have heard of. So amazing that they can go and look at somebody new and take inspiration from them. So thank you for that. If you could start your career all over again, is there anything that you would change, anything you'd do differently?
That's a good question. I would say intentionality from the get-go would be big. I started shooting videos when I was, like I said, a sophomore in college, which was about 5 or 6 years ago. And when I first started, I was just like exploring things, but I think I would be a lot further along in my career and in my skill set if I really tried to focus in and be intentional. So if I knew right from the get-go, I wanted to shoot fitness videos and have that vision, like, oh, I want to have a production company that does just videos for Nike, say, or Adidas, or some of these other large global brands. Really just be intentional and try and focus on that from the get-go and have that be the dream. I would say I shot for many years before having really a vision or a goal around what I wanted to do with my business. It was kind of a hobby and a fun thing I did. And then as I started to, make more money, get bigger projects and make a bigger impact, I realized, oh, this could be a lot bigger than what I thought it was. So all things happen for a reason, but I would say just intentionality in the beginning and setting really clear goals would be what I would do from the get-go. Because once I started doing that, then things grew exponentially for me. So yeah.
It's a tough one, isn't it, to be intentional from the get-go, because a lot of the times you enter into things and you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know if it's going to pan out, if it's going to work the way you wanted it to. And I think a lot of the times we plan small, don't we? We don't sit there and think I'm going to be, shooting for these big brands, or I'm going to be, getting clients that are going to be paying me £15,000-20,000 plus. It's not something that you start out thinking, is it?
Sure. Yeah. And just like I said, exposing yourself to other people that are doing bigger things than you helps you, like I said, know what's possible. The first time I ever threw $5,000 for a project, I always crapped my pants. And then it got to 10,000 or 15,000, 20,000, whatever it is. And you kind of get desensitized to it because you realize the value that you're giving to people and what your ideal clients value and how you can provide for them, whether it's photo or video or whatever you're doing. So I think just being really like open to the fact that things can get bigger and better, and having like not really an expectation, but like here's where I want to go with it, and here's my vision, and I'm gonna chase that every day. I think that's important.
Definitely. I love that. If you could add one final piece of advice, be it your business, your personal life, what would that one final piece of advice be?
Yeah, I would say put a plan in place, put a process in place. That's something that I never did in the beginning. That's helped me grow quite a bit, is just having set processes, so then people have the same experience with you, so you don't forget to post on social media, or forget to follow up, or forget to send a questionnaire, or get talent to sign the contracts, and then now they're going to try and sue for being on TV and they didn't want to be on TV, stuff like that. Like making sure that you have a process so you have that same expectation and customer experience throughout has been really, I would say, a big thing for me. And then also just the vision. If you don't have a clear vision on where you want to be in the next couple of years, take a couple minutes today and just think about that. Like, where do I want this to be? Do I want to be shooting and editing until I'm 50 or 60 or 70 years old? Do I just love to do that? Do I want to run an agency where people do that for me and then I kind of pull the strings and do that? Do I want to grow it to the point that I'm not even involved in the business? I can hire an operator to replace me and I can go do other things. I can go invest in real estate or start another business or retire early, or whatever your goals are in life. I think that's really important. Because for me, I'm a kind of a workaholic. So even if I got to the point where I was financially able to be, retire early or whatever, I don't think I would, because I just want to keep building stuff and doing fun things. So knowing that and being really clear on that, I think would help a lot of folks just kind of have clarity in where they want to be.
Absolutely. Set those life goals and work towards those.
Absolutely. Yep.
Love it. So if our listeners want to get in touch with you, they'd like to head over and see more about the educational side of what you do, Ryan, how can they do that?
Sure. Yeah. There's probably three places you could go. One we've talked about was my YouTube channel. Just look up my name. You can find me there. I have a free Facebook group called the Freelance Videographer Community. So if you're a videographer and you want to join, there's about 70,000 people that are in there now. There's a lot of people coming in all the time. So I'm the admin for that page. So you can check us out on Facebook. And then I also have an online course that if people want to learn more about how to grow and build a successful freelance video business, they can go to solovideopro.com. And there's a lot of free stuff on the blog there, as well as a free webinar training they can check out as well. So
amazing. Packed full of free stuff and good advice. That's what we like.
Absolutely.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been such an honor to chat with you. And I know that our listeners will have learned a ton about running their businesses today. So that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. I'll catch you soon, Ryan. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much again to Ryan for joining us. He was such a star and shared so much of his knowledge. If you'd like to head over and see the show notes, you can head to www.studioninja.co/episode 36. Please don't forget to rate us on the podcast platform that you're listening on. A little bit of love goes a very long way. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NinjaCast, brought to you by Studio Ninja. Beautifully designed and super easy to use, Studio Ninja will help you manage your leads, clients, shoots, invoices, contracts, workflows, and so much more. To learn more or start your 30-day free trial, go to www.studioninja.co.